my YouTube channel. My name is Lillian Akwa and I'm glad that you're joining me again on this episode. If you're just joining for the very first time, I want to say thank you and please do subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming again on my channel. So today I've got an interesting topic for you and I'm sure that you can't wait to see what we have to discuss today. So on this episode, I'll be talking to you about 8 ways to improve your writing skills. 8 ways. So let's jump right into it. Okay, welcome back. And so like I said to you earlier, we'll be talking about 8 ways to improve your writing skills. So what are those ways? 1, write every day. Write every day. So you need to make writing a daily practice. Because if you, what's the essence of calling yourself a writer or being a writer if you don't write? So for you to actually be a writer, you actually need to write. So you need to form a daily practice or a daily habit of writing every day. Yes, I know you're thinking every day, like really? Yes, especially if you intend to make it a lifelong career, it is something that you need to do every day. Sometimes you're not going to feel like it, but sometimes it could just be strings of words that you're able to put down, or your thoughts that you're just able to journal, but just endeavor that you have that practice, because it is said that practice makes perfect. Yes, so the second way you can improve your writing is to have a clear message. So you need to be clear, you need to be concise. When you want to start writing, what are those things you want to communicate to your audience, to your readers? What's the focus of your writing? So at this point you need to look at your WH questions, where you look at what you want to write about, what's your story, what happened, and then that's the what question. Then you also answer the where question, where did it happen, and then you also look at how, the how question. How did it happen? That talks about the storyline, the process, and then of course the setting. Now that is assuming you are writing a story, but you could be writing a non-fiction. So you also need to define your questions. You need to look at the WH questions. What do you want to write about? How do you want to write it? Who are you writing to? Basically your audience. You need to define who your audience are, because that will determine how you write and what you say. For instance, if you're writing to children, you can't write with complex language, right? You have to use very simple language in a way they can understand. Why is it really important for you to have a clear message? You see, people want to know what your writing is about. A lot of people want to know before they get right into it. For instance, my second book was about HIV/AIDS, teenage pregnancy, and other social vices. Now, that book is titled Sprouting Lilies, but once you pick it up and you read the blog, you already know what the book or the story is about. People want to know what your content is about before they get into it. So it's important to have a clear message, and so that also helps to draw people to what you have to say. The third way you can improve your writing skills is to write from your experience. Write from your experience. It is often said that experience is the best teacher, right? There's some things you really cannot talk about or write about if you've not had a first-hand experience of it. So, and it is always better to write from the known to the unknown. You go from a terrain that you're quite familiar with to a terrain you're not so familiar with. So you need to write from your experience. And the truth is, we all have a story to tell, and nobody can tell your story better than you. So it's always good you write from your own experience, and then before you start going through uncharted course in your writing. I hope you've not forgotten the first 3 things I mentioned. One is to write daily, the second is that you write with a clear message, and the third is that you write from your experience. So what is the 4th thing that you can do to improve your writing skills? 4th thing is to do your research. It is important that you research as a writer. Now, a lot of us, when we start writing, most times we flow, from our thoughts, we just flow. But what research does is that it makes your writing rich. People are looking for information. People want to learn from you as a writer. So it is very important that you do your research, especially if you're talking about something you are not familiar with. So, for instance, I remember when I was writing my third book, Shadow of the Unseen, there was this part I was not so knowledgeable about because I've not had an experience in it. So there was a character, Pearl, who who was going to go on a power bike ride, and of course, I've never ridden a power bike. I needed to know what it feels like, even so. What I did was to go meet an uncle that had a power bike and that had that rides one, to tell me, everything I needed to know about power bike riding. He had to tell me the kind of power bikes that are available. He also told me how to ride, how to sit, how to hold the rider if you're a first-time rider, and all of that. What to do and what not to do when the power bike is in motion. So, so it was all of those. So that was my research. It was all of those experience that I brought together, or all of those information that I gathered, that I brought together in to my, which I now used to talk about that particular aspect of the story. So when you're writing something you're not very familiar with, it's important you do a research, because people can tell when you are not, when you don't have enough information. People can tell when your work is not rich. People can tell when your thought is shallow. People can tell, your readers can tell when you have enough information and when you're just trying to get by, So yes, do your research. Very important. The fifth way you can improve your writing skills is to be adventurous. As a writer, you need to be adventurous. You need to engage in adventurous activities, because you need to be exposed to some things. There are some things that you can only understand and share with people out of your exposure, because you've been exposed to them. And I don't mean in the negative way, even though the negative things that you are exposed to can also be contribute to making a good writing. But then I'm talking about good form of exposure, good form of adventure. For instance, traveling is very critical. As a writer, you should be adventurous in traveling, going to going to new places. For instance, you might want to go to an art gallery. You might want to travel out to other places. You might want to travel. You might want to try some new cuisines. Food that you're not familiar with, or that is not a part of your culture, or things, just interesting and fun things. So for me, it's one of those things you need to be exposed to is in the area of traveling, because traveling itself is said to be another form of education. You learn because you're exposed to new environment, new things, new people, new culture, and all of that. So being adventurous is very critical to you as a writer, because it helps to improve your writing skills, because you're not exposed to more things, and then you can tell a better story, an interesting, wonderful, and enriching story. So the sixth thing you can do to improve your writing skills is to be yourself. Be yourself. It's possible that you have people that you look up to, people that have gone ahead of you in writing, or that inspires you, but eventually you as a writer, you need to have your unique voice. And one of the ways that you can have your unique voice and project it is by being yourself. Yes, you can learn one or two things from people that have gone ahead of you, but trying to be exactly like them, or trying to write the way they write, can actually make you lose your uniqueness, because it's your uniqueness that will make you stand out at the end of the day. So as a writer, understand that you have a unique voice, and to protect that, you need to be yourself. People want to interact with you as a unique writer. So be yourself. When you're being yourself, it would automatically impact on your writing, and then people get to know you more as a writer in your own niche, in your own area, in as a different breed of writer, basically. So I don't know if you have been counting, but this is the 7th point, right? In this 7th point, what I want you to note is editing. Be thorough in your editing. That is the 7th point of what you need to know in improving your skills as a writer. Be thorough in your editing. Now, yes, be thorough in your editing. Yes, because editing automatically impacts on your writing. Good editing. If your work is properly edited, it will make your writing actually better. And trust me, there are a lot of editing tools you can use now. We have Grammarly, we have Pro Writing Aid, and a number of others that you can get on to help you correct your errors, your grammatical errors, put your sentence structure properly, your syntax, structure, your grammar, and things like that. So editing is important to every writer. Now the 8th point in improving your skills as a writer. What's the 8th point? So far so good. Thank you for coming this far. I'm sure you've learned a few things. So the 8th point for me is read more and never stop reading. Like I always say, if you've been following my videos, you would realize that I always say that you cannot be a good writer if you are not a good reader, if you are not an avid reader. So being an avid reader makes you an excellent writer. So focus on being a good reader. Now, why is reading important? You learn new things. It improves your vocabulary. When you interact with other aspects of writing, your vocabulary increases. You have a robust range of words you can use when writing, and you are not limited. So those are the 8 ways you can improve your writing. I hope you've enjoyed this particular episode. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're on this channel and you've not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay guys, just before you go, I've got some people around, my happy-go-lucky crew. So they've been a part of this episode, and I want you to just say hello to them and they say hi to you guys.
Hello fans. Hello today.
Okay, so these are my guys for this episode. Yeah, so thank you guys for coming. Tell them your name. What's your name?
Okay, my name is Orelu.
And you?
My name is Ifeoluwa.
And yeah, the big one up there.
And I'm Fikayo.
Yes, so these are the guys behind the scene. I'm glad. Thank you guys for coming up. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Yeah.
It wasn't too boring. Did anybody learn something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Are you sure you learned something?
Yes.
Okay guys, thank you for being a part of this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.